Coming up on Guardians of the North.
How big is the fire now?
I think it's over 10,000 hectares now.
We dispatched a crew immediately.
The wind had come up. It just seemed like a total inferno.
Every summer we deal with hundreds of wildfires.
The fire, it's like a living thing. It's creating its own weather.
We're protecting livelihoods, communities. We are protecting the North.
It's early August, and recent wet weather has kept forest fires near the Ronge base mostly in check.
At the start of August, we had a bit of rain, so that kind of cooled everything down for the most part. It's kind of moist out there, so there's really nowhere for that fire to go and really nothing for it to flare up on.
We've been kept busy. We've been sending crews out here and there to help out other areas as well as in our own. We've been getting out, no big fires, but lots of little ones.
But warmer, drier days have returned. A perfect recipe for more fire activity.
It's not as dry as earlier in the season, but it is heating up and we could get some late fires. You know, we need some lightning, dry lightning to come in.
Nice hair.
Right on. Yearly haircut.
I didn't recognize him when I came in the morning. I said, who the hell is that? Somebody near a base here?
Well, I got razzed by everybody as soon as I walked in.
Did you do that on purpose?
I lost a bet.
Yeah.
It was a real shame to get rid of this luscious head of hair that I got here, but it had to be done.
Avery always kind of had funky hair, and kind of like mine, I guess.
I'm actually getting the same haircut tomorrow, so
Are you good?
twins.
We'll be twins. A few of them asked if I was wanted by the police. Had to change my appearance, but nothing too crazy. Well, for alerts today, we're yellow 18. They're upgrading the alerts a bit. So they're climbing again, and this week is supposed to be hot and dry. We did have a pile of lightning go through the last couple days, so I do expect we will get fires.
Even in wet weather, lightning can start fires that smolder undetected for days. Higher temperatures and stronger winds can bring them to life, fanning them into dangerous places.
Still heating up. I think there's going to be more. Yeah, lots of hot weather.
The season's coming to an end, potentially. It's heating up. We don't really know what to expect. It could amount to a lot of fires. We could get nothing out of it, but regardless, we're getting near the end.
Ronge Tanker Base, Eric speaking.
While the fire base watches and waits, the tanker base keeps an eye on a large blaze called the Richard Fire, burning 200 kilometers to the east.
How big is the fire now?
I think it's over 10,000 hectares now.
We do still have the one big fire burning, known as kind of a project fire. Project fire is a fire that's escaped initial attack for whatever reason. In this case, Mother Nature was, it was a very hot day when that fire started, and it was just beyond our ability to suppress.
Started by a lightning strike weeks earlier, the Richard Fire has grown to 10,000 hectares, or roughly the size of 20,000 football fields.
And it's half and half across the border?
Probably 60-40 split. It started right here. And then the first few days it burned to this. We were hoping to stop it here in this water, but then it spotted over and just made a huge run, and it goes all the way into Manitoba.
This fire will be a project fire for weeks.
The recent wet weather has allowed the air attack teams to get the upper hand, but that could change at any moment.
It's got multiple fingers. It's large, and the lakes aren't that close, so it's a difficult fire to work on.
The Richard Fire is a sleeping giant. With hot, dry weather returning, everyone knows it will likely explode again.
It's still very, very active and has dangerous potential.
Along with the crews at the bases, there are many others tasked with the vital role of guarding the North. Michelle works for Saskatchewan First Nations Emergency Management, but she's also a captain with the Volunteer Fire Department on Muskoday First Nation. a small community on the edge of the boreal forest.
We have approximately 25 volunteer members, which means we're on call 24/7.
So we respond to a lot of structure fires because we are a structure-based community, as well as grass and wildland fires.
Any emergency that could possibly happen within our community. Recently, my daughter Chelsea moved back to our community.
Well, last year was pretty bad for fires, too. We already had like freaking 20 grass fires.
Yeah, it was really dry.
Since Chelsea's return, Morgan, Logan, and Nick have been trying to persuade her to join them on the Muskoday Volunteer Fire Department.
They've been, bugging her and nudging her, and Chelsea, you gotta come to the fire hall. You should come to a meeting, come check out our training.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Practicing.
My cousins kept trying to convince me that it'd be a great idea to join because we could all rush off to calls together since we all live in the same house.
Join if you want, I guess. We could use you. So.
I was a little hesitant, but they kept being persistent in their pursuit.
It's burning season coming up. Gonna get pretty dry out there.
So are you gonna be the one who ends up training me since you're a captain now?
Yeah.
Or just come to the next meeting.
When's that?
Tomorrow.
Eventually, they just wore her down, and all of a sudden, she come walking through the door one evening. I was like, wow, right on. Hey, welcome to the meeting tonight, everybody. We have a new member joining the fire department today.
Well, my name's Chelsea Marasti, and most people already know me here because it's a lot of family on the fire department. My mom, first and foremost, has been on the fire department since I was young, and I always really looked up to her for that.
Would you like to tell me why, after 23 years of me being on the fire department and not one of my daughters joining, all of a sudden Morgan and Logan bug you, and all of a sudden you're here tonight?
In her eyes, you can tell she was happy, but she said something cheeky.
Did you say not wanting us to join?
Welcome to the fire department, Chelsea.
While Chelsea prepares for basic training, an alert at the Ronge fire base sends everyone scrambling.
We got a call from the detection aircraft, and they let us know of a fire out, and it was in Denair Beach area. We dispatched a crew immediately.
For the initial attack crew, every second counts. The longer a fire burns, the more likely it will become impossible to control.
You want to get to that fire as fast as you can, not give it a chance to get big,
How big is the fire now?
I think it's over 10,000 hectares now.
We dispatched a crew immediately.
Fire will be a project fire for weeks.
With hot, dry weather fanning recent lightning strikes, the crew from Ronge makes their way to a fire spotted by the detection plane.
As we got closer to the fire, Roger told us that we were getting to that he could see the smoke. We circled around and assessed it from the air.
In order to slow the blaze down for the ground crew, water bombers working the nearby Richard Fire swing by to hit the fire from the air.
Before we could get down and land, we had to let the water bombers and the bird dog do their work first and get a couple drops in on the fire. I think our pilot said it was the closest he had ever been able to land to a fire. Unloaded our stuff. We hooked up the bucket so that he could go get some water. The pilot had to hover there and wait an extra minute for the planes to go back over before he could take off. From the air, it looks like a big giant, like he's dropping a big drop of snow onto the fire. And when you're down there and you see that, it looks just like a bubble bath basically across the whole ground, and it's just foam everywhere.
It's like a bubble bath over here.
With the skimmers moving on, it will be up to Aiden and the initial attack crew to put out the hot spots before the warm weather can fan them dangerously back to life. For existing blazes in the area, like the gigantic Richard Fire to the east, the warm, dry weather has changed everything, literally overnight.
Just when you think you're gaining on it and you might have a handle on it, the next day it could be just totally different.
Lots of times we'll be working a fire, a large fire, and winning, and then, in the snap of a finger, the fire blows up. It's a hot, windy day, and it's off and running again.
The air attack team is now facing a wall of flame, over 100 feet high, and 2 kilometers long.
From looking like we were gaining on it to just a total inferno.
Along with affecting visibility, the dark smoke is extremely dangerous for any aircraft that gets too close.
A white smoke is typically not overly aggressive. It's not going to give us any control problems. We get into black smoke, then it's generating a lot of heat.
What you want to avoid is those black columns of smoke. It's like a thunderstorm, basically.
The lift that it generates from the heat would flip an aircraft quite easily, so we stay well clear of black and bronze smokes.
While the air attack team works out a battle plan, the ground crew from the Ronge base does the hard work to get a new start out before it can become a project fire.
While the pilot is flying around with the bucket and grabbing water, we will use our Pulaskis and our shovels and we'll dig up the ground a bit, open it up. Sometimes the fire is burning a foot or 2 in the roots, like deep underground.
Fires can burn underground for weeks, even months during the winter, before the right conditions bring them to the surface and up into the trees. A fire that isn't properly put out and escapes initial attack can turn into a 10,000-hectare blaze in a matter of days.
Had we just soaked the surface completely, it could still be burning slowly underground and you wouldn't know, and it could eventually build up enough and start up again.
Back at the Richard Fire, the air attack team decides their best course of action is managing the small fires, often called spot or jump fires, spawned by the massive blaze.
We'll have embers that fly off of the main body of the fire, riding those air currents, and they will be starting new fires out in front. So we will be trying to suppress those so we don't have a multitude of other fires in conjunction to the big one.
While skimming along the surface of a lake, the amphibious aircraft can scoop up 1,200 gallons of water in less than 10 seconds. Flying in a closed circuit, the air attack team knocks down several new jump fires that have popped up ahead of the main wall of flames.
But there's always the hope that by containing those jump fires out there, your main wall of flame might run into a swamp or less dense bush that'll slow down a little bit, and then we can get back in and start attacking the head again.
While the teams in Ronge battle the last fires of the season, new recruit Chelsea learns how to get into her firefighting gear.
Get you some gear going.
First thing you do, go jump into your boots. You pull them up.
Once you get your bunker gear, you get to train on the SCBA, which is self-contained breathing apparatus.
Throw it on the backpack.
The self-contained breathing apparatus is a firefighter's lifeline in the heat and smoke of a burning building.
If you are claustrophobic, it's something that you will not enjoy.
When you get way too hot, you can open it up, and it sends a big blast of cold air.
Everything was going smooth and fine. I'm like, okay, it's not too heavy, I'll be fine. But when I'm trying to put the nozzle on my mask, there's like a vacuum seal kind of on it.
Push it in, push hard. There you go.
There's a delay in the air that comes to your mask. It just sucks in and people panic.
So I'm like having like an internal panic where I'm like, I can't breathe, but I don't want to rip my mask off and be dramatic.
You really want to make sure this is in all the way, because it is.
The heavy turnout gear is flame resistant and filled with layers of thermal lining designed to trap air and protect a firefighter from heat. Combined with the self-contained breathing apparatus, the gear can weigh over 50 pounds.
I feel Chelsea.
Pretty good, aside from the fact that my boots are a little bit too big, so I was almost falling out of them, stepping up the stairs, trying to keep up with you guys. Learning experience.
As Chelsea's training continues, she nervously awaits her first challenging drill.
Part of getting ready to teach somebody about structural firefighting and interior attack is filling a room with smoke and having the firefighter go into a room and actually find somebody and be able to bring them out.
You know, let's bring them in here. Basically, we have a dummy that we call Hollywood.
Hollywood roughly weighs about 180 pounds, 190 pounds. He's in a pair of coveralls and he's made up of old fire hoses.
Perfect. When they come in, we'll fill the room with fog, and they're going to be searching anywhere from 3 feet down. They're not going to be looking for someone on the counter. There you go.
Nobody is going to be where you think they are or where they should be.
And we'll start the fog machine.
People are going to panic and go into different rooms, different closets, just to find a way to get air and hide.
Away we go. Is that door unlocked? Okay.
Searching for a mock body in a smoke-filled room will be Chelsea's first real test. If she panics or struggles with the tight confines and heavy gear, she won't be able to handle an interior attack in a real-world fire.
I'm nervous for Chelsea to do this because what we're teaching her and what we teach all our firefighters is how to go into a burning building in case they have to save somebody. Part of getting ready to teach somebody about firefighting is filling a room with smoke and actually find somebody and be able to bring them out. I'm nervous for Chelsea to do this.
On Muskoday First Nation, new recruit Chelsea is about to learn whether she has what it takes to continue on with her training.
Make sure you guys are always in touch with each other.
When the room's full of smoke, we send them in their gear. They go in teams of 2 or 3. It's always a buddy system. Nobody ever goes in alone.
Call it out when you go through.
Right hand crouch. Troy hid the dummy somewhere, and they kind of messed up the room, so it's not how you normally would walk into it.
It can be pretty intimidating at first, not knowing where you're going and how to do it.
You can barely see your hand in front of your face. It's so smoky in there.
We're going right.
One person will have their hand along the wall, feeling away, feeling around the outside of the wall. The person behind that person will be holding that person's boot and reaching out to the center of the room.
Otherwise, I'm just trying to see what little bit I can where my hand's reaching out to in case I touch anything.
You're never letting go of that wall and your fire hose. That's your lifeline. You just turn around and that hose is gonna get you to safety. I remember drilling it into all of them. Think about those kids who are hiding in a closet. Think about those kids who are curled up on their beds. Don't forget anything.
Got a burn here.
Morgan put his hand up on top of the counter, feeling around, and grabbed it from there, and then he kind of had to show me
Let's go.
how we go out with this now.
Let's walk out, man.
She did really good. She never let go of the wall. She stayed with her partner.
So far within her training, she's excelled in everything that we've thrown at her.
A little nerve-wracking, but mostly fun. Yeah.
As Chelsea moves on with her training, ground crews from Ronge finish up their initial attack on the fire near Denier Beach. Hard physical labor and support from their helicopter have put the fire out before it had a chance to grow any larger.
We have to write in our notebooks every time we lift off from base, every time we get back to base, every time we get to a fire, what we see at the fire, what we did at the fire.
Our #1 priority is protecting human life and make sure everybody comes home safe at the end of the day. The boys have been doing really good work.
In the days ahead, crews battling the Richard Fire welcome a seasonal change in the weather.
We're getting on in the season. The last little while, the winds have been calmer and so you're making progress.
With cooler temperatures spreading across the boreal forest, air attack and ground crews are finally able to put the weeks-long project fire completely out. Back on Muskoday First Nation, Chelsea's final drill of the month involves a full team response to a mock fire call in the community.
We're just playing pool up here, and we got a call, and we all had to just take it like a serious call.
Make sure all the bays are shut.
It's pretty exciting, just even doing the training scenarios because I'm still newer to it.
We raced up to the school, got all of the hoses out as if the school was on fire.
I got my chance to go like on the nozzle and be the one to be at the front line of attack. I was expecting to kind of get more of a pushback, so I was like really bracing for him.
Stop! Chelsea's doing awesome. She's brought this spark with her, right? And that's just her and her personality, you know, always wanting to make things fun and, you know, that newness to everything, right?
I'm starting to feel more like a real firefighter doing these trainings. The more trainings we do, the more calls I hear us getting, the more experience I get, so I feel a little bit more like I'm stepping into my boots.
Every year you learn new stuff about your crew and the guys that you work with. Ernest, how long were you on the ground for with fires?
I started back in 1979, so...
I wasn't even a thought in 1979. Well, I knew he had worked for a few years, but I didn't think it was that many years. You said you did time in the fire tower?
Yeah, back in 1990.
You just sat up there all day and looked at the trees?
Yeah, just looked around, see if there's any smoke coming up. Well, as long as you had something to listen to, I guess it'd be all right, or something to read.
I'd go nuts just sitting up there looking at trees all day. I don't think I could do it. You've almost seen as much as Matthew then.
Oh, yeah. I think I started before he did with the government.
Huh.
So, yeah, he learned from me, and...
So you taught him everything he knows?
Oh, I don't know if we can say that. I was fighting fire when he was still bouncing in his daddy's